It has been an event to get here, but we are here, folks. The Ivy Boys podcast live on YouTube. I am your host, Chipper Lewis, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Joel Fry. Joel, how's it going, buddy?
Oh man, we are here. We're live on YouTube. You can see our mugs for once, which is exciting for us and is significantly less so for everyone who is actually viewing the podcast. But man, what great circumstances we can come to you and talk Cubs baseball under the Cubs, of course, dramatic victories against the Cardinals. Wait, hold on. Let me update my phone here.
Wait.
I gotta refresh this phone.
Wait.
Oh, good heavens. The Cubs are now in second place at NL Central. Awful things happened since the last time we talked to the fine people of the Ivy Boys podcast fandom via audio only. So this is, I wish the circumstances were a little bit better, honestly, man. But hey, they are what they are. Cubs have lost 8 of their last 10. You go 11-0-1 or 10-0-1 over an 11 series set. And since then, the Cubs have lost, I believe, 3 consecutive series. So it has gotten real, and it has gotten real quick.
Yes, 3 consecutive series for the what? Now this is the first time this year. They started off the season 2-7. Everybody knows that, but in their last 10 games, they're 2-8, and it definitely feels like it. Cincinnati. Ooh, we've talked about that. I'm done playing Cincinnati.
The Cubs aren't. They have 13 more games against them.
I know,
so
but me as a Cub fan is done with Cincinnati for at least a little bit. And then the Cardinals, it's always tough to play the Cardinals no matter what the standings look like. It is arguably the best rivalry in baseball. And it's frustrating. It's hard to come into St. Louis, let alone take 2 out of 3 or even take 1 apparently, because the Cubs couldn't do that. They couldn't take 1, and that – I just don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, Joel. So the Cubs got swept by the Cardinals. We all know that, and I know my Cardinal friends are all excited about that and everything like that, and they keep telling me they won't let me forget what just happened, and that's okay. I get that, but
yeah, can't you just get away from every Cardinals fan in your life? Isn't that a piece of cake for you? I mean, there's no way
so
that you're
easy. Like
living in the same roof as a Cardinals fan.
No, right? I know, and I'm pretty sure my wife is watching this right now. So, and that's okay. But but they let me know. They let me know what the Cardinals have done against the Cubs. But they are still behind the Cubs in the standings. Cubs are in second place right now. Milwaukee is in first. Let's see who the Cubs move on from here. I'm pulling up the schedule right now. Give me 1 second. They go to LA tomorrow.
While you're doing that, just real quick, I want to mention to folks the home team has won every game so far in the Cubs-Cardinals series to this point in the season. The Cubs, of course, swept the Cardinals back in early May, what was that, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and
yes.
Cardinals. So now it's a 3-3 series. 13 more games against the Cardinals as well as we move into the second and thirds of the 2019 baseball season.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. This is new to me, this whole new live thing. We usually can edit things out, and that just can't happen now, and that's easy to forget that we can't edit things out now, Joel.
Yeah, I'm not going to hear you say, hey, hold on a second. All those things you just said were awful. Can we try again? And you say smarter things. And I'll be like, yeah, you bet, Chipper. And then we go from there. But everything I say, dumb or not, is right there.
It's there. What? Someone has heard it already. There's no editing. The Cubs have the Angels coming into town. They're still they fly back to Chicago. That's good. Mm-hmm. They have the Angels coming to town. The Angels are good, but I don't know. I feel like the Cubs need to take 2 out of 3. I feel like that has to happen. I really do.
Oh, the Angels is just a makeup game. It's just the Monday game.
I'm sorry, it's a makeup game. I noticed that now. I'm noticing it now. I have a lot going on my phone right now. I'm getting viewer questions from Vince because I can't see them live. Vince, who is putting our production together, is doing this amazing job. He's tweeting me, texting me the things. And then so Colorado comes to town after that. And Colorado's a little disappointing. I feel like
Sure.
so. I feel like the Cubs should take 2 out of 3. But the way this team's playing right now, they can't hit. Their batting average with runners in scoring position is I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know it's bad. Especially in this past
Right,
series.
and that's a Cubs fan saying it.
It's bad. They need to that needs to happen better than what they did. That was a great analogy right there. And analysts, it's bad. It's bad, and it doesn't help. What was frustrating with this past weekend was Saturday's game. It got rain delayed for 3 hours and 37 minutes, and it was only in the 5th inning, and it made no sense, Joel, why the game didn't get suspended. It made no sense to me because now you're burning bullpens. Now you're just burning arms for.
You're burning Tyler Chatwood. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. It could have been avoided. The Cubs, of course, played there today. They could have done something, like start the suspended game at 11 and move today's game back to 3. That could have happened. They come back at the end of July. I believe both their off days is that Thursday before the weekend's series. They both have an off day. You could have played there. And then they come back. Even in September, they come back. And it felt like they just needed that they had in their mind that they had to get that game in that day.
Which is odd, because I understand that it's a national broadcast. However, it does not behoove anyone, including the national broadcast, for you to start the game up again at 11 o'clock at night. Nobody's watching that. You're going to get more ratings from a Magic Knife infomercial or something. Move the game to the next day. Just you know what? It's a wash. Literally, it's a wash with the rain. You could have a game, like you said, play the final few innings. Even if the game had ended the same way with the Cubs losing, you have two teams that are fresher for your final game of the series today. We saw today a tired group of guys on both ends offensively. The final score was 2-1. The Cubs didn't get their first hit until the 6th inning. Is that right? The 6th inning?
Yes, the 6th inning.
Against Adam Wainwright, who is 74 years old. The man is the oldest guy I've ever seen throw a pitch for the Cardinals, and he's 37. But he's throwing the ball like 89 miles an hour. He does not the Adam Wainwright that we remember. Not only has age ravaged him, but also injury. And he was mowing down the Cubs like he was Max today. Not to say that he's not a good pitcher or he isn't capable of doing that, but at the same time, the Cubs hitters were clearly gassed and tired and fatigued. The same thing was going on for the Cardinals. From a sheer fan enjoyment perspective, I honestly believe it was more painful to watch this game than it should have been because the guys didn't get to sleep until 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I believe Ron Coomer mentioned on the radio broadcast today that it's likely they didn't get to bed until then. You have a 1 o'clock game on a Sunday. It was rough all around and bad product on the field for the most part. Pitching looked more dominant than it should have, and the Cubs may have paid the price for it with the loss, but under the same circumstances, the Cardinals were playing that game as well today. So you can't say that the Cubs lost because of last night, but it certainly did not help them, and you were burning through bullpen that was that's going to be valuable later on, not just for the Cubs, but for the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dexter Fowler's wife even tweeted out that the man got up early, like 5 a.m. He had his camp at 7 a.m. on Saturday. And then he went and played a game. Then there was the rain delay. Then he had to continue playing it. Didn't get back home till 2. And then he had a day game at 1 o'clock. And that's Dexter Fowler, who's here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And so it's scenarios like that. It's May. It's not September. It's not even late August. It's May. There were other chances to make up or continue that suspended game at another time.
Credit to that dude, by the way, for actually going through with his camp. It would have been understandable if he had just said someone else can handle it, like an instructor or something. No, the dude went there and he committed, and he made a commitment to the people who paid money to be taught and trained by Dexter Fowler, and he went out there and did it. Everything else, be damned. So good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as Cub fans, of course, we know Dexter Fowler is an amazing person. He always gives back to the community and stuff like that. He did that in Chicago, his time in Chicago. I'm sure he did his time in Colorado and Houston, and I know he does it here in St. Louis also. He definitely gives his time back. So, it's just, gosh, I can't get back to the runners in scoring positions. Like it just bothers me how much the Cubs can't. I think Schwarber, yeah, he's getting on base as leadoff hitter, and that's great. That's awesome. Taking his walk, stuff like that. We've seen an improvement. We talked about that last episode. But when he has runners in scoring position, especially this weekend, he was not good, Joel. I can't. I have the numbers somewhere. Joel, if you can look up those numbers, I'm sorry that I'm not prepared on that. It's just
no, you're good, dude. He was 4 for 38 at one point. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if someone said on Baseball Reference his numbers look like they are 0 for ever. He was historically bad last year. He does not have a good track record with runners in scoring position. Some of that, it's a good thing he's hitting the leadoff because you can't lead the game off with someone on second base. Thank goodness for him. Yes. He plays much better and hits much better when there is no pressure, which is weird to say for a guy like Kyle Schwarber, whose legend was built on postseason heroics in 2015 and 2016. Now he was, at one point this season, 4 for 38, batting 111. We mentioned on the last podcast that he was having a rough time with men in scoring positions. So. But that said, with that kind of a sample size, 38 at bats, he should be doing much better. And it also means he's doing a lot better without runners in scoring position. So a couple of leadoff home runs certainly helps that. But when it matters, Schwarber has come up small. He's not the only one on the Cubs to come up small. This number 240 with runners in scoring position on the season, you certainly have a dearth of success from a lot of guys, not just Kyle Schwarber, in that way. And I've written about him. I've piled on him a little bit because I think there's so much there, and to not see that come to fruition hurts. Honestly, as a Cubs fan who has invested a lot into the guy and knows there's something there that's very special, and it's not coming through. But you look at Chris Bryant's runners in scoring position numbers; they haven't been good the last couple of years. Injuries, of course, have hurt that, but this year he hasn't been fantastic in that realm either. Okay, honestly, right now, who is the guy? And I think I know the answer to this, but Chipper, who is the guy you would want up with 2 on and 2 out? Well, let's say runners at second and third, 2 out. Who's the guy you want up right now? I have a name. What's yours?
I have a name, and I think it's going to surprise you. We're talking right now. Correct.
Right now.
Right. It doesn't matter. Right now.
Yeah. Okay. So the game tonight, the game today, it was the Cubs lost 2-1. Say it was 2-1. There are 2 runners on, 2 men out. Who do you want up?
Right now, I want Almora Jr.
Interesting. I would have said Rizzo.
I want Almora Jr. Well, I mean, Rizzo's a good choice too, but the way Almora Jr. has played lately, he's getting on base more. He's making solid contact. He's just playing all around better baseball than he was, let's say, 2 weeks ago.
Yes. Now, real quick, since you mentioned Almora, unplanned, but I know that a lot was put out there on Twitter from the Ivy Boys official Twitter page, and from you and myself as well. Just the horrifically unfortunate, or the unfortunately horrific, either one you want to choose, circumstance the other night of the little girl getting hit with an Albert Almora line drive in the stands. So glad that it looks like that girl is going to be okay. And you know what? It's great that the conversation is now happening that maybe extending the nets. It's going to be a little bit of a bummer, but that bummer goes away, and a potentially fatal or life-altering injury that can be caused at the risk of a ball coming and hitting you in the temple when you're not paying attention, when you're looking at your phone, when you're looking at the scoreboard, giant scoreboards all over every field. That's too bad that I can't get a foul ball component of it pales in comparison to the life-saving potential and qualities of a net going up from foul pole to foul pole.
Yeah, I agree, and you're right. When that happened, I went onto the Ivy Boys Twitter page, and I went on a gigantic rant about this. And it's true, foul balls. I don't care. You want a Major League Baseball? They sell them at Walmart. You want an official Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
They sell them at Walmart. Go take it to a field, dirty it up. Nobody will know. Okay, nobody will know. It's all about letting people enjoy the game without the worry of them possibly, losing an eye, breaking a nose, teeth, or even worse. There is.
I
What? Go ahead. Go ahead. Well, no. Go ahead. What? I went a little
Just the-
extreme there. I know.
No,
Do you like
no,
that?
no,
Losing
just
an eye.
The idea. The idea of like there potentially being 30,000 baseballs out there that are signed by Barry Bonds with his 756th career home run because they all went to Walmart, scuffed it up a little bit, and then signed it or whatever. That's just
Well, it's
that's
true,
just so
right?
great.
I mean, it's the same ball. It literally says, it has Rob Manfred's signature. It says, it has the Major League logo and everything like that. So, yeah, it does happen.
I think my wife is watching. I'm not sure, but if she is, I want you to know that I may or may not go to Walmart and buy a ball, scuff it up real good, and then next time we go to a game without one of our kids, I'm going to pull out my back pocket and say, "Hey, look what I caught just for you."
That's what
And
do it.
it'll save me a ticket, and they'll feel great about it. And then 20 years later, they'll be like, "Hey, remember when you caught that foul ball for me at the game?" And I'll be like, "What are you talking about, you lunatic? No, I never caught a foul ball at a game." But yeah, so credit to you for that awesome
You're welcome.
idea.
You're welcome. Every parent listening and watching, you are welcome on that one.
That's right. The Tooth Fairy caught this ball for you. Here you go, bud.
Or, honey, I was at the game. You see, I have the ball.
Yep. No, it was put lipstick on your collar day at the ballpark. It was a really great event, and the proceeds went to Make a Wish or whatever. So, yeah, we're just making guys feel good here on the Ivy Boys podcast live on YouTube.
All right, that one got me. No, but serious. It's a serious subject here. Yes, extend the nets. I'm not even talking. Have you noticed, for instance, Busch Stadium? I'm not talking all the way to the foul pole because I don't think that's even necessary. There's a point where the outfield wall jets to the right, jets into the field, and then jets up towards the foul pole. All you need is the net to the point where the walls jet to the towards the field. That's all you need. You don't need them up to the foul pole. You just need them right there. That's it. It just protects from the 110 plus mile per hour fastballs, balls coming off the bat into somebody's face. That's all this does. Why is that a bad thing? I never understood the argument why that is a bad thing. It makes no sense.
Ballparks can also teams can charge more for bleacher tickets if that is the case. Also, I mean, and I don't mean to be cynical about this, but you're going to make those seats where you do catch a ball, because if the only way you catch a foul ball is if you're in the upper deck behind the plate, or if you're out where it has to be a home run for you to catch it, those seats become more valuable. Safer, sure, also, but you can jack the prices up on those tickets a little bit. So from a team standpoint, you can keep those lower bowl tickets the same price because people are going to buy them anyway. The nets were extended, and it sure didn't affect prices. I mean, the last time they were extended. So
perfect example.
It works.
The seats behind home plate are literally the most expensive tickets in any ballpark, and there's
incredibly
a net.
expensive.
So why is that a big deal? Nets obviously aren't a problem.
Yep. I remember, by the way, the cheapest tickets I ever saw right behind home plate went to a Royals game in 2009. And we ended up going to the Pepsi Party Porch out there in 2009. We saw Zach Greinke. He was unbelievable. And we paid $7 for those tickets, clear out in the outfield. parking was $8. We paid less to get in the field, into the stadium, than we did to park. Right behind home plate, tickets were going for $75. And I could have paid it, and I still didn't want to. I thought, I don't really feel like paying $75 to see a Royals game. So $7, standing room only. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, $75, and that's the cheapest I've ever seen. You go onto any website right now, Cubs.com. I don't know how much they go for, but you will not see a number one at the front of that. That's going to be $200-$300 for those tickets at the very least. So, and you're right.
Absolutely.
There's a net there. There's no chance that you're going to catch a ball, and still the experience of being back there is worth 10 times more than the cheapest ticket to get into the ballpark.
Well, and even on StubHub, they're over $150.
Oh, for crying out loud, yes.
At least. I mean, if it's a crap game against, let's say, the Chicago White Sox and the Kansas City Royals,
yeah,
you might get below 120, maybe $100 for behind the seat, behind the net, home plate, and that depends if it's a nice day or not. If it's going to be a crappy day, chance of a rain, that's going to be cheaper, of course.
Sure.
But if it's a nice day, it's still not going to drop below 100.
No, you're right, man. And it doesn't matter where it is. I wonder, actually, now you've compelled me. I'm going to look up after the podcast to see how much Tampa Bay Rays tickets are right behind home plate. Even though they're good, that stadium is awful, and that is not that's not an interesting ticket to get in the Bay Area, or not the Bay Area, the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah. I mean, you're still technically right. I'm sure there's people that walk around Tampa Bay and say, "Oh, that's down at the Bay Area."
Right. And by the way, if you're tuning in, we talk Cubs for 90% of the podcast. We do go off the rails a little bit sometimes because it's interesting. I do wonder what the cheapest right behind the plate ticket is in baseball. How low can you go? Because the Cubs, whether they're good or not, and luckily they've been good for a long time, but I don't think there's an opportunity for you to get a non-triple digit ticket behind home plate, even if the Cubs are on pace to lose 100 games in some season.
Well, no, I mean, that's the Wrigley effect then.
That's right.
That's what it is. I mean, I'm sure Baltimore you will not have that issue in Baltimore.
Right.
Or Miami.
That's very true.
Miami, they'll be like, here's a free ticket. It's all the way down in front of the home plate. Please sit there.
Please. We want on television to look like we have fans.
Please.
We don't just want Marlins man back there. Please, a normal person needs to sit back there and make it look like our team is interesting to the common man.
I feel like he doesn't even go to the games.
He's just Marlins man. He's not Marlins fan. He's Marlins man.
Big difference there. He just shows up at other games, just not Marlin games.
Bringing his circus
this
with him.
is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker, RebeccaSellsDreams.com. We are live streaming on YouTube right now. Thank you for everybody who is watching and looking, like Joel said at the beginning of the show, at our ugly mugs. I don't think you said ugly.
I said mugs.
You said mugs.
Said mugs.
I threw the ugly part in there. But that's
just
okay.
open for interpretation.
I mean, we obviously think we're good looking enough for people to watch us.
Although that said, I do hope that for our 2-year anniversary show in a couple of years, like the 2-year anniversary of us going on YouTube, I can look back at the first show and go, man, I never want to be that size again. It would be nice. It'd be nice to drop a few pounds, but it would be really too bad if at that show I look at this episode, we watch some highlights, and I go, man, I wish I had a body like that still. That'd be too bad.
Anyway, and I feel like, and I want to apologize for earlier. I was kind of nervous, kind of excited, and it didn't flow very well for me at the beginning of this episode here. But for people who haven't actually listened to our podcast before, don't really know who we are, Joel, let's go ahead and kind of introduce ourselves. I know it's kind of more in the middle of the podcast. We should have done this before, and I feel like that would have helped with the process, but we kind of jumped right into it.
Sure.
I am Chipper Lewis. I've been Cub fan for my whole life. 34 years old, just turned 34. I live in St. Louis, married to my wife, Christy, who is my rock, my best friend, but she is a Cardinal fan. And yes, I said but. And I'm sure I'll get yelled for that one. I know she's watching. Um, and it's so we have a house divided. We have a daughter, Aubrey or Bree. That's who we call her. And she loves baseball. She gets excited. She says Cubs, by the way, before Cards. She doesn't. I cannot say Cardinals right now. She says Cubs, which is great. But we've been doing this now for a few years. The Ivy Boys, and we had other people with the podcast, and it's all gone great. But this is the point where we've wanted to get to. We wanted to be on YouTube. We wanted to take this to the next level, and now we have. And I know I'm beyond excited. I know Joel's excited. I know everybody involved is excited. And so we're here. This is something I've had in my mind for years now, ever since Joel and I started podcasting way back at MLB Mayhem, 2016. And this is where we've wanted to get to, and I'm extremely excited to be here. So, Joel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
No problem. By the way, I think MLB Mayhem, if you go to that website, it's like a car dealership now or something.
That does not exist anymore.
I don't think. Yeah. But we exist, and here we are on YouTube. So my name is Joel Fry. I'm 31 years old. I live in the Des Moines area, the home of the AAA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, the Iowa Cubs, and this year's been very exciting because Ian Happ has been down here and Addison Russell. Take that for what you will. But in any event, he was a starting shortstop for the 2016 World Champion Cubs. So that, as a sheer objective fact, meant that it was interesting to go out and see him. We do get an opportunity here to see a lot of these guys before they became big. Saw Schwarber before his major league debut. Lots of guys. Chris Bryant. One of my favorite games I ever went to was a game, I think it was April 17th of 2015. It was sold out. It was the second or third highest attended game in the history of the Iowa Cubs. It was going to be Chris Bryant's home debut that season. This incredibly hyped member of the Cubs organization, and he got called up that morning. Not everyone heard about it, so people around us were saying, "Hey, I thought Chris Bryant was going to be playing in the game tonight." And my wife and I had to tell them, "No, he got called up. Sorry, your ticket is worth significantly less now, but hey, hot dogs are good." So there's that. I've been a Cubs fan since I was 10. My grandpa was a huge Cubs fan. My grandma was a giant Cubs fan as a kid. She used to tell me stories about listening on the radio to Gabby Hartnett. And it's such a thrill for me to be able to talk about the Cubs on a regular basis. They mean so much to me. It's more than baseball, and I think that's something that there are a few organizations in sports that's true for. The Cubs are one of them, where if you I'm going to get emotional. If you love this team, it's not a surface level love. You're not just a fan. You are someone who is so invested in what that history means to you, to your family, to your father, your grandfather, and that fandom was passed down to you. That was certainly true for me. That was a way that my family and I bonded, was by watching Cubs games, especially in like 1998, and the interest that created as a fan of Sammy Sosa, my favorite player when I first started watching the Cubs, and what that's grown into, and crying. My grandma, who I mentioned just a second ago, she passed away during the NLCS of 2016. So we're watching game 5 and we're really excited. Then I get a phone call saying Grandma passed. And so we turned off the TV for a little while and bawled. We knew the Cubs were going to win. It was a blowout. And then game 7 we watched with, of the World Series, thinking about her. This cloth back here, this Cubs cloth, was on her casket. I don't mean to be morbid, so I'm sorry, but this was on her casket in the funeral home at her visitation. And after the visitation was over, my aunt took it off and she handed it to me and she said, "Grandma would have wanted you to have this." So I've had this up. It means a ton to me. The Cubs mean a lot to me, and I know they mean a lot to you too, as a viewer, as a listener, as a fan of this show. Hopefully, And I hope that we impart a lot of what interests us about the Cubs, not just a day-to-day, did they win, did they lose, who's hitting well, who's playing like crap with runners in scoring position, and just what that means from a fiber standpoint to us and to you, because we know if you're watching this, you're listening to this, this is not a unique story to you. That's something that you have your own little version of that same story in your family's history. And I'm so excited that we get to do this. So my wife, Cubs fan, family. I've got 4 daughters now. That's too many daughters. Sometimes, like 4 daughters is a lot. It occasionally 4 daughters feels like 5 too many, and so I got to deal with that sometimes. But I love them to death. They're so great. My 3-year-old. Sorry if I'm rambling. My 3-year-old, I sing her lullabies at night, and she asks for me to sing "Go Cubs Go" and as part of one of her lullabies. So yeah, this is a thing that means a lot to me, and it means a lot to Chipper. And I know that if you're watching and listening to this, it means a lot to you too. So can't wait to continue this journey with you. I'm really excited for it.
Yes, absolutely. And stories like Joel's and with the blanket and about his grandmother and stuff like that, we would love to hear those stories that you have as listeners. We would absolutely love to hear them. We will, if you want, we could tell them on the air. You tell us the stories. You can contact us, of course, here on YouTube. You can contact us through the website, Twitter, Facebook, however you want to. We want to hear those stories. Why you are a Cubs fan, what makes you a Cubs fan, and what has kept you holding on as a Cubs fan through the years before 2016. So that is something that Joel and I would love to hear, and we would love to tell the other listeners of this podcast that story about you as Cub fans, because that's it. Joel hit it right on. We're Cub fans, literally doing a podcast for other Cub fans. We are Cub fans first, but this is a hobby of ours. This is not. There's no full time. We're not getting paid. There's no full time job here. We have other jobs. We have full time jobs outside of this. We have lives and families, but I guess we kind of feel like our opinions matter a little bit more than others. So we decided
that's
to
true.
talk
So
about it.
we're just a little narcissistic, and that's why we have a podcast on YouTube. So
Right.
that that kind of comes with the territory, I guess.
So as we go through here, hey, we'll give our opinions and stuff like that, but we want to hear yours. We want to know if you agree or disagree with us. And if you disagree, we want to know why. Like, why are we wrong? Because there's many times that we don't feel like we're wrong. We want to know why you think we are. So definitely this is going to be an interactive podcast, interactive YouTube podcast. Like I said, you can contact us on Twitter at The Ivy Boys, on Facebook, The Ivy Boys. You can contact us here on YouTube. Like and subscribe. If you're watching this, please subscribe to the page. That would mean a lot to us. But
Do we have a website?
Do we? I think so. It's theivyboys.com. It's theivyboys.com. That's the only place that you'll find Joel's blogs. Just so you
That's
know.
right. I've only gotten one so far. I have, my kid is 13 days old today, and I've had a rough draft of a write up percolating for the last like 6 or 7 days. It just hasn't been finished yet because I don't know, kids need food and love, and that is tough to write around. So
annoying.
very soon I'll have that done, and then we'll be off and running. But
Yes.
check it, man. The website looks so good, Chipper. And I got to ask you, why does the website look so good? What do you do that? Do you put that website together yourself?
No, I'm not that good with a computer. I'm lucky that I figured out this sound mixer that I have in my office. No, that is done by Bob Marufo of BobMarufo.com and Vince Hennings. These two guys are the behind the scenes of the Ivy Boys. They are the heart and soul of the Ivy Boys. We could not do anything without these two, except for literally talk about the Cubs. These two, everything you see on the website and on this YouTube channel is because of Vince and Bob. Joel and I cannot thank them enough for everything they've done for us.
We would be texting back and forth about the game, and that's it. That'd be the extent of the show, is just us texting back and forth if it wasn't for them.
Yep. I mean, you see this hat that I'm wearing. You see this shirt that I have on. Bob did that. That's what Bob does. Bob does logos and stuff like that. The stuff you're seeing on this YouTube channel, you go to our website, that's Bob. Putting it all together is Vince. And like I said, those guys are Ivy boys. You just don't see them and you just don't hear from them, but they have their footprint on everything we do.
That's right. By the way, you might be on the YouTube page right now and go, "Man, that looks really nice. That's a high production value." That's them. That's them doing that. All we do is talk.
That's exactly all we do. And something else we're gonna do every single episode. And Joel, I don't know if you have a full beer or not. There's this thing going
I finished.
around.
I'm off. I'm done 2 beers.
I guess then I'm the only one going to do this tonight. We had a little snag, so we drank beforehand while we were trying to get things going. But that's okay. Something else that we're gonna do, this whole like chugging beer thing that's going on all over the internet. Joel and I love beer. There's no hiding that. We talk about it. I think he loves it. Look at him. We talk about that pretty much every episode, how much we like beer and how much we enjoy drinking it. And what beer we're drinking that day and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure if you've listened to the podcast before, you've heard a can open by me in my microphone. That's happened several times. And there's this new trend going around. I did this on Twitter last week. There's this trend going around where you chug your beer. It's mainly NFL quarterbacks, but I just feel like I need to be involved in that and I know Joel does too, but like he said, he's kind of out of beer. And since
you're the quarterback of the show, man, you are the quarterback of the Ivy Boys.
Okay, I'll take that right there. So, excuse me. Obviously, I've had a couple already. There's going to be a segment where we chug the beer, and we're going to describe the beer that we're having, what beer we're tasting, and stuff like that. And maybe we'll switch it up. It was the battle of the light beers today. Joel was drinking a Bud Light, which doesn't have corn syrup apparently, which is fine.
I'm going to be honest. As a guy who loves Bud Light, nobody cares. Look, Anheuser-Busch. I don't care what's in it. It just tastes good. You could tell me that you took Lucky Rabbit's feet and pureed them down and shoved them into a bottle, and I would still drink it if it tasted like this. It wouldn't matter to me.
There you go. See, I am not a fan of Bud Light. I don't think it tastes good. I am a Miller Lite guy. Great taste, less filling. It's a fine Pilsner. That's what that is. So tonight I'm drinking Miller Lite. He's drinking Bud Light. We will switch this up every episode. We will describe the beer we're having. I feel like a Goose Island's in my future next week. And then, maybe this will become a Beer and Cubs podcast. Wouldn't that be weird? That's something.
I have a thought. I have a feeler out to a restaurant here in town that has a very specific Cubs-related beer that I'm going to try and review for just kind of a little 5-minute side video for the YouTube page. We've already got it. We don't want to just do live stuff. So that's that. We'll talk about that more, Chipper. I'm kind of throwing this on you at the last second here, but it's something I'll do.
I love the idea. Love it.
Yeah. It's a Cubs-related beer. It's here in the Des Moines area, and I'll review it if the restaurant will let me.
That's an amazing idea. Love it. And who knows? Maybe they can be a sponsor.
Yeah.
Because we like getting paid for
Not a
that.
bad idea.
Anyway, so tonight I am a Miller Lite. As you can see on my glass, if I can get it on my camera, it says Wrigleyville Baseball on it. On the other side, Miller Lite. Very, very convenient. The foam has gone away, so it's time I'm going to move the microphone away, so maybe you can still see me. Hang on. There we go. All right. You ready?
Ready.
Oh.
You've done this before.
That was really cold. But yes. Oh, excuse me. Eat your heart out, Christian Yelich and Aaron Rodgers.
That is what a great beer review, by the way. It was that was a cold beer I just had.
Whew. But it was great taste, less filling. It was a fine Pilsner. The only good thing, besides another beer, Spotted Cow, has come out of Wisconsin. Unless, of course, you are a listener from Wisconsin, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am sorry that you have to live in Wisconsin.
So
I echo his sentiment.
yes. But anyways, this is a Cubs podcast. We promised to talk about Cubs. But it was just a disappointing weekend. It just was. And the Cubs have no one else to blame but themselves. They had the chances to score the runs. They had the chances to put the Cardinals away. And they just didn't. They let the Cardinals hang around. And when you let a team like the Cardinals, who do still have a Paul Goldschmidt, Marcelo Zuna, a Colton Wong who can get hot like today, a Paul DeYoung, good players, you're going to let them. They're going to win. They're going to hang around. They're going to win these kind of games, especially at home.
Right. And, I don't know what's more disappointing, honestly. The fact that the Cubs were 0 for 25 at one point with runners in scoring position, but I'm going to say that one more time. The Cubs at one point were 0 for 25 with runners in scoring position during a stretch. 0 for 25. If the Cubs, as a collective, with runners in scoring position, were one player, they'd get sent to the minor leagues. I don't know if that's more disappointing or if the fact that a Daniel Descalso bunt is what broke the streak. It didn't even score a run, for crying out loud. The one way that you cannot score a run with a man on second base, for sure, and that's the way the Cubs pulled off breaking their stretch, their slump. So it's got to turn around. I mean, the law of averages would suggest that this is going to turn around at some point. Can't promise when that's going to happen. Hopefully it's tomorrow against the Angels, and then against the Rockies, the Cubs just uncork several baseballs. But lately, if the Cubs haven't been homering, they haven't been scoring. That's so frustrating, man.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable problem. I know Javi has been in a massive slump ever since he's come back from injury. And, I mean, he was out of the lineup yesterday. So you obviously can tell that's still bothering him, but he knows how important he is to this team. He also knows that how shorthanded this team is with Ben Zobrist not around. I mean, if Ben Zobrist was here and playing baseball, and again, you and me have no room to talk about his situation and like trying to tell him that he should be playing through it. You and I have never been through that situation, so we can't be there. We don't know what's happened. That's his private life.
Hopefully never will.
Yes, exactly. Yep. But if Ben Zobrist is here, I honestly believe Javi Baez hasn't played since he hurt his heel.
That's fair.
I think he hits the IL.
That's fair. And, it's difficult because you only have one other guy really that can play shortstop very well, and then you do have, you got David Bodie maybe playing second base, Daniel Descalso playing second base, and you don't have your best lineup out there. Right. The Cubs' depth can only go so far, and losing a guy like Zobrist, even if he's not at the peak of his powers, which he clearly is not, he has only had a couple of extra base hits this season in his limited time playing. He is organizational depth. He is a guy who can fill a spot and be more than zero. He's not a nothing out there at second base, and he's allowing you to keep your other guys healthy. There are ripple effects to having a guy like him out of the lineup. Even if he is ineffective, he allows you to not be hampered by his presence in a way that other guys might. Like Descalso seems to be almost hurting the ball club at times when he's out there, or being a subpar player, and Zobrist is certainly not that. So I think you're 100% right. Even if he doesn't contribute massively to the lineup, Zobrist not being in that lineup or not being available for the lineup is hurting those around him. Frankly, the Cubs are not thinking in that way. And it does look like they might have a little bit of financial flexibility with the Zobrist situation that could help them down the road, could have some positive ripple effects for a couple of guys who you might want to sign, especially one, in a month or two. But there's no guarantee that even that'll work. So at this point, it's been nothing but negative that Zobrist is not in the lineup.
Yes, yes. And that one guy possibly could be after tomorrow. But before we get there, this is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker. If you don't want to strike out and sell in your home, contact the MVP Realtor of the St. Louis area. Rebecca Lewis with Coldwell Banker Gundecker can answer all your questions related to selling your home fast. Her detailed marketing plan will outline her impressive online presence and a recommended professionals list that includes contractors, painters, home cleaning, and a home staging service that will keep your home at the top of any buyer's must-have list. Rebecca knows this area and can expertly consult you on your area's property values, information about housing trends, and how Coldwell Banker Gundecker will get your home sold fast. Call Rebecca Lewis at 314-369-9680 to get your home on the market now. Also, RebeccaSellsDreams.com. Also, if you're moving somewhere from the St. Louis area and you want a realtor to recommend somebody to help you with the process, that is Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker. She can do that too. She does an amazing work, and I'm not just saying that because she's my mom. She has helped us with everything, and she cares about her customers. So definitely contact Rebecca Lewis, RebeccaSellsDreams.com. Again, that phone number is 314-369-9680. All right, so that one guy, Joel, tomorrow is the draft. This is the day that if you know what's going on with guys like Craig Kimbrell and Dallas Keuchel and the other free agents that have draft picks tied to them, this is the day that you've been waiting for. Because after tomorrow's draft, those draft picks aren't there anymore that they're connected to. And they're free to pretty much sign anywhere without the team that signs them giving up that draft pick. And to teams like the Cubs, that's huge because that's how Theo and Jed and Jason build that team is through the draft. You know, they're looking for, you know, certain pieces like power pieces or power bats or even, you know, starting pitching. So Kimbrell pretty much is open game after tomorrow's draft. And Ken Rosenthal had put out a story saying the Cubs are lurking and that they are there in on Craig Kimbrell. How excited does that make you? A, because it's Craig Kimbrell, and B, knowing that this could be the closer that we're kind of was hoping Brandon Morrow was going to be.
Well, it makes me excited at first, and then I realize that he hasn't pitched against anybody this year. You know, so you're talking about a ramp-up period that's necessary. And what should make Cubs fans feel good is that if you get Kimbrell, say, on June 6th, and he is available mid-July, he should be back to his old self by August 1st. I don't think he's just been sitting around eating potato chips and drinking Bud Light, which is superior to Miller Lite. I do think that he honestly has been working hard, and I think I've heard reports of him working hard, going out there, pitching the way he should be, and keeping his body in check. That is encouraging, but I don't think there's any substitute for live major league hitting. And because of that, you hope that he's everything you had been fantasizing about in March and April when September rolls around.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it is going to take time. Let's say the draft happens, and next thing you know, the Cubs sign Kimbrell just right after the draft. That we're looking July.
Yep.
Like realistically, after July 4th.
And he could be rusty.
Right.
In July.
Because he's going to feel rushed. It's going to be the first time that he probably has ever felt rushed. And if you know history repeats itself, look at Greg Holland last year. When he signed late, he showed up with the Cardinals. They rushed him through the minors to get him up there, and it did not work. They signed him with a 1 year, $14 million deal, and it was a bust. It was an absolute bust. And then he went to Washington, and he actually pitched well. Why? Because he got his work in until he got to Washington, even though it had to do, you know, at the Cardinals' expense, which, you know, as Cub fans, we're okay with. But still, I mean, I don't want that to happen if we're, you know, if it's Craig Kimbrell.
Yep. Well, no idea if he's going to come back strong, and honestly, no idea if the Cubs will ever have Brandon Morrow back again. I mean, it just feels like his deadline gets pushed back more and more. So, would I embrace the move? Yes. Would I have the expectations that a lot of Cubs fans seem to have? I don't want to put thoughts in the mouths of a collective millions of people, but it just feels like people who are in the know, who are aware that the Cubs need that bullpen help and know that Craig Kimbrel is out there. Craig Kimbrel.
It's all the Bud Lights.
It's a lot of R's and a lot of cuz, and just it's all in there. Well, two R's, a lot. Listen to me. There's an expectation being put on him if he is a Cub that he's going to perform this way. I don't have that, and if he doesn't perform the way he needs to, or the way he's expected to, then you still have a problem in the bullpen. And frankly, who do you blame at that point? I mean, Theo goes out and gets the guy you want. Yu Darvish is on this roster. In 2018, in March of 2018, when this news broke that Yu Darvish had been signed, it felt like a fair contract or even a bargain. He was coming off a period with the Dodgers where he had the highest strikeout to walk ratio of his career during that time period. Yeah, he tipped his pitches. That felt like it was going to be something that was fixable. And now he is a borderline professional pariah for the Cubs. He's had a couple of strong outings lately, but even those haven't been up to the standard of a guy who makes $21 million a year and is expected to be your ace leading the charge to another World Series in 2019. He is not that guy. And I mean, can you blame Theo for that, really? He went out and got the guy that all Cubs fans seem to want. If you go out and get Craig Kimbrel, he's the guy that all Cubs fans seem to want. And if he doesn't perform the way you expect him to, who does that come down? Does it come down on Theo? Does it come down on Joe? I mean, they're going out, they're doing what you want them to do. And Joe is putting the guys out there that are on his roster. That's all he can work with. So sometimes you're just in kind of a catch-22 situation if you're a manager or a GM. And yeah, you can get the guy, but it's ultimately going to be up to Kimbrel to perform.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. You're right. If Kimbrel doesn't perform, you're worried, right?
Yeah, crazy worried.
Crazy worried because now you're relying on Pedro Strip's hamstrings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lately the last
outside of that,
season,
you're
it's not good.
You're literally, yeah. No, I'm sorry for talking over you. I'm just saying if his hamstrings don't work, or if he is injured again because of his hamstrings or any other reason, then your bullpen once again is hamstrung.
Oh,
you're in a lot of trouble.
If I had a beer, I'd cheers that one.
See how I was walking over you, word-wise? I just couldn't wait. I couldn't stand to be polite when I had that gem in my back pocket.
Was great. That was great. That was awesome. So it'll be interesting to see if the Cubs can sign Kimbrel after tomorrow's draft, or if he goes to maybe Atlanta is definitely an option for him. Outside of that, I really can't think of a place. Maybe St. Louis. I don't know if they shell out the money for that, or if they have the patience after Greg Holland last year, if they want to pull something like that off. It'll be interesting to see him. Dallas Keuchel. I don't know, any place that really needs a starter. But then again, you're going to have – it might take Keuchel even longer than Kimbrel to come be season ready, because he is a starter. He goes 8 innings. So it's going to take time to get your arm up there to that point where you can go over 100 pitches.
Yeah, I know we need to be wrapping up, but just what a time to be a starting pitcher right now, man. He won a Cy Young a couple of years ago, and now he doesn't have a job because his numbers, based on his projected numbers, based on his age, based on his type of pitcher he is, his advanced metrics, things that he doesn't even know he's controlling because he can't tell them when he's on the mound, spin rate, ability to your swing and miss stuff, all that. He doesn't know it. And yet, because of those things, he is not getting the contract that he feels he deserves based on his track record and his believed ability to perform this season. So it's a weird time to be a starting pitcher, man, on the wrong side of 30 years old.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and free agency pretty much has died. Look at all the extensions, and that's something we've talked about before. I mean, the extensions alone of the big stars that are going down, and they're not even going to free agency. And if you do hit free agency, you got to start questioning: are you as good as you thought you were?
You're right, and I don't even know if they question that. I just what teams value you as. No, I guess you have a fair point. What if teams are telling me I'm worth this, am I really worth that? Yeah,
Right.
that's true. And if you get a bummer of a deal, I mean, for crying out loud, we haven't even mentioned the Cubs getting Carlos Gonzalez on a minor league
Oh,
deal. I mean,
yeah.
that guy was a massive star, and yeah, he's pretty old at this point. But a minor league deal for a guy like that wouldn't have happened back in 1994 or 1988 or whatever. He would have gotten a major league chance.
That wouldn't
based
have
on the
happened.
fact
That wouldn't have happened in 2010.
That's a very good point. Yeah, you're right. It's much more recent than what I was saying. He's in a rough spot right now
Yeah,
financially
he is
because of it.
Yeah, but he did hit a home run in his first game with the Iowa Cubs.
Right, and I can't wait to see him. He'll be up here. He'll presumably, if he doesn't get called up, be up here with the big league club this next weekend when we're going to a ton of games. So
That's
looking
awesome.
forward to that.
I maybe a Twitter video or something like that in the future there.
Deal. You
All
got
right,
it.
awesome. We are going to wrap it up, Joel. At the end, we do our final thoughts. So, Joel, go ahead and give me that final thought of yours.
The final thought is, boy, it's really fortunate the Cubs went 23-7 over a 30-game period because this has been a bad stretch of baseball. And when I say bad, I mean worse than all of that doom and gloom you had at the beginning of the season. The Cubs have to turn this around. They're a game and a half back, and I am going to predict the Cubs will be closer than a game and a half back when we next talk here on YouTube. The Cubs will either be in first place or they'll be within a game, a half a game, or whatever, however the weather allows them to be. But I don't think they'll be more than a game and a half back next time we speak. They can't afford to be.
No, they absolutely can't afford to be. My final thought is simple. I said it earlier in the show. I want to thank everybody for getting us to this point. Like I said, we could not do this without Bob and Vince. They do absolutely amazing work, and it just baffles me what they're capable of doing to get us live on YouTube right now like this, where you can see our stuff, stream us on the ivyboys.com, all that stuff. You see that. You see our Twitter handles underneath our talking heads. I could not do that myself. I want to thank my wife Christy for putting up with my, being recording when we're trying to put our daughter to sleep and stuff like that, because that's just a time we could do. And Joel, I know you're the same way.
Yeah, I hear a kid crying in another room right now. If it gets picked up, whatever. We're both dads, and a lot of dads are listening. Who cares
It's
if my
going
kid
to
is
happen.
crying and you hear?
It's going to happen on this podcast.
Yeah, you will see my kid on camera at some point. She will
I was
open the
just about
door
to say that.
and she'll come in. Yeah, I mean you've seen her chipper. She'll come in and she'll wave a little bit or something, and she's a sweetheart. One of my 4 children. So that'll happen, man. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be fun. And we're doing this live, and I'm not gonna bark at my kid to give me privacy. I'm talking about baseball.
Exactly. We're talking.
She has every right to come in and say hi. So
absolutely, my daughter will come in. She'll sit on my lap. She'll grab the microphone and start singing. It's happened with Joel before. He's heard that. So it's these things that happen. It's live. For instance, Joel just got up. It's live. I think he forgot. But what a great screen, right? I mean, that works. That's a great Joel going away screen. It's Anthony Rizzo, Game 7 of the 2016 World Series, right after Ben Zobrist hit his go-ahead double. We talked about how you left, and then that was the screen that was showing.
Yep. No. Keep on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. We were talking about it, and my heartstrings were really pulled. So my wife, God, what a saint. She's putting the kid to bed right now,
I
and I
get
just
you.
heard
I
her
get you.
crying, and so
Well, we're wrapping up
I
anyway,
no
so
no no no
I get
I
it. I get
invited her
it.
to come in. So
Oh, okay, awesome.
she'll be if we're not off the air. If we are off the air, whatever. But
Okay.
um,
But yeah, no, and that's what you're gonna get here with this podcast. We're live. We're both dads, um, and it is just that's just how it is. We're Cub fans doing a podcast for other Cub fans, and we live our lives throughout the day. And doing a podcast, our lives don't stop for this hour.
and this screen will change every week.
I love
We'll
that.
have a different one up every
So
week.
we'll have a
So I just
different beer that we're drinking and a different screen behind Joel.
yeah, I can't guarantee that I will have a different shirt and hat on. I like this combination, so this might be my podcast uniform.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes to shirts, I'm sure Bob Marufo of BobMarufo.com can hook us up with Ivy Boy
Actually,
shirts.
yeah. What am I doing, man? You're wearing Ivy. You're geared up, and I'm over here
I think
wearing
you have
Cub
an
stuff
old hat.
like a peasant.
I think you have an Ivy Boys hat, like an old one from like a few years ago, a couple years ago. Do you even
Not
know where?
on,
Do you
not
even
not
know where
here.
the
It
hat
might be in
is?
a closet.
No, I get it. I get it. Um, so maybe Bob can help us with the apparel to wear here. So
Woohoo!
that would be awesome. I know he's listening.
With his Twitter handle right underneath it.
Yes, absolutely. Bob Rufo at Bobo. I think at Bobo815. I think that's Bob Rufo's Twitter handle. If I'm not
He's an
mistaken.
815er.
He's an 815er. I was an 815er when I was growing up in
Oh
Northern
my,
Illinois.
out there in the
I did not
yeah.
realize how far out 815 went as an area code.
That's great.
So he's definitely an 815er. I know that actually, and you know what? They help us so much. Here's a plug. Bob and Vince do their own podcast. It is the best podcast, and I think I'm saying this right. Best podcast in the 815 Beyond the Cube. If you haven't listened to it yet, it literally is just Bob and Vince sitting there talking about their work. I know they have a bunch of people from their work listening, so they talk about their job and they talk about whatever. I've been on it. I've talked about Oak Island before, the curse of Oak Island. We didn't talk about the Cubs. We talked about Oak Island. It was awesome. So definitely check that out. Beyond the Cube is the name of the podcast. These guys do amazing work. And you'll love to listen to them talk about other things besides baseball if you're interested in that.
And I am.
Yes. So definitely check it out. Beyond the Cube.
Great contribution from me.
Anyway, that was awesome. That's what you get here at the Ivy Boys podcast. Is
riveting back and forth commentary. If you're interested in things other than baseball, check it out. Oh, I do like things that aren't baseball. Thanks,
like
Joel.
That's awesome. But anyways, folks, that's it for us. You can follow us on Twitter. It says it right there on the screen now. This is weird that I'm saying this and it's right in, you're seeing it at the Ivy Boys. Like us on Facebook, the Ivy Boys. Follow me on Twitter at ChipperStrike3, just the number 3. Follow Joel on Twitter at Fry Sports Radio. Again, check us out on Facebook. Like it. Bob actually has control of the Facebook page. He posts all the stuff. He does an amazing job on there. He interacts with all you guys that do like the Facebook page. So if you are wanting that to happen, I didn't know where I was going. I lost that quickly. So definitely, like the Facebook page, the Ivy Boys. Subscribe to this channel, please. Like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I've lost Joel, but that's okay. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. That's all we're asking. If you're watching this, please subscribe. Let us, that way we know who likes us. That way we're keep doing this. We're doing this for you guys. Not only for us, because we do like hearing ourselves talk, but for you guys as other Cub fans, because we want to give that out. And we want to give you a voice. So, again, if you want to have your opinion heard about Cub fans, about the Cubs, contact us. We will be your voice. It's simple as that. Contact us on Twitter, Facebook, the website, YouTube. We will be your voice as Cub fans. And that's what we are here. So definitely check that out. Go to our website, theivyboys.com. check it out. Joel's blogs are going to be up there. Like he said, he just had his 4th daughter. Poor guy. I'm kidding. And so once that, I almost said wears off, but I feel like that was not the way I wanted to sound. He's going to be doing more and more blogs, so definitely check that out onto the website. If you like the way your website looks, and you're like, man, I want my website to look like that, or I want my logo like that, or I want something like what Chipper's wearing right now. It's simple. Go down to the bottom of the screen. Click on Bob Marufo's name down there, the logo. Click it. That takes you to his website. Bob will do all that for you. He will make your logos. If you're looking for a rec team volleyball or something like that, softball teams, it's Bob. Bob is your guy. He will design something that you're going to look at and think that's exactly what I had on my mind. So it's bobmarufo.com, bobmarufo.com. Definitely check it out. Again, the Ivy Boys is presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gun Decker. That is RebeccaSellsDreams.com. The phone number is 314-369-9680. Again, thank you so much to everybody who has actually made this happen. We appreciate everything. We appreciate the support, and we will see you guys next episode.